creepy and cool TikToks that will blow your mind. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go!
Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research, as these clips haven't been fact-checked.
Snow White is now the lowest rated movie in history on IMDb with a 1.8. The remake of the movie that saved Disney back in 1938 is now a 1.8 with 96,000 people voting on it, making it officially the lowest rated movie on IMDb in history.
Wow.
With 82,000 people saying that it was a 1 or lower, which is 99.6% of the people that voted on it. But hey, 3,000 said that it was a 10, so there's that. Previously, the Disaster movie had the lowest rating of 1.7, and only 58,000 people voted a 1 on it, which is now at a 1.9 and 60% of the people. With the lowest in IMDb history being Daniel the Wizard with a 1.2 rating, still didn't take the top of the IMDb's lowest rated ever movie list, because that still belongs to Disaster movie, but not anymore. Now it belongs to Snow White. But is it deserved? Because the internet thinks it should still be lower. Let me know in the comments.
You know, the name is literally Snow White. So White is the main character of Mexican. I mean, nothing against Mexican, of course. Maybe don't make a 100-foot chariot. I hope everyone is okay.
Now this is what happens after you die. No matter how rich you get in life, no matter how hard you work, when you die, you lose everything. You cannot take any of this with you. Just remember, everyone, regardless of your status, memories mean more than possessions. Because when you go, you cannot take any of this with you.
You can't take your memories with you either. You know, being rich is to know God.
This happened in Dubai. A Ukrainian model, 20 years old, she been found by the side of the road with her legs, arms, spine broken. She nearly died. Now I'm thinking, what the fuck happened in that party that she was in? What actually happened in the hotel that she was in? She was missing for 8 days, and after that her body was dumped by the side of the road with horrific injuries. Now this is Dubai, the best place that people are talking about. But listen, people don't know what happened behind closed doors to these women. They don't know. But the point is, if you know, you wouldn't go there. And that's the reason why they try to hide it. Simple as that.
Dubai has crime. They just have no statistic on crime because everything is covered up. SpaceX Falcon 9 spinning exhaust gas. It's happened before. Three Kings, Optimus Prime is coming soon. Wow.
There was a scandal
Thank you for recording this.
in China where a lot of fair, rich, and pretty influencers, 8 of them, all got a foot fungus at the same time. Are they all going to the same gym showers at some $2,000 a month gym, but they never mop their showers, so you gotta walk into the puddle of water and then you get a foot fungus? Is that what's going on? Because it's not that common that 8 people at the same time get a foot fungus, and they're all kind of friends. So people start investigating. Turns out they're not fair, rich, and pretty. They're fair and they're pretty. And life's not fair because they're not rich. They had bought a pair of Gucci tights and split it amongst 20 people. And they all paid like $30 for it. One pair of tights
outta here.
covers your feet and everything. You know what I'm talking about? The stockings with the Gucci logo everywhere. Those were like all the hype, and the Chanel ones were all the hype. They bought one pair and they shared it. Everybody reserved a day. They had like a Google Doc calendar for it. This day I'm going to this town, so I need to take a bunch of pictures. This day I'm going to book this hotel, so I need to take a bunch of pictures. One person had a
wash it.
no, one person had a foot fungus, and so all of them got the foot fungus. What's even crazier is that they even have hotel packages for influencers. You can enter a chat in China, and they'll say, booking presidential suite at the Shangri-La Hotel. Everyone needs to pitch in, and you get 30 minutes.
Yeah, to take
So,
photos.
yes, everybody pitches in like $100 versus, I don't know, probably like the thousands of dollars it is for that night. And they have everything set up to take photos. So you go in, they've already moved the bed next to the window, like all the Instagram pictures, which, by the way, I always thought about that because I always go to the hotel's Instagram page and I always see beds right next to the window in New York. And I'm like, that is beautiful. I want to wake up like that. Then you book the room. The bed is nowhere near the fucking window. They move the mattress. Or they get the table. I saw an influencer breaking it down. She said she moves the table, covers it in blankets to look like bedding. And then she just like leans up against the window whilst sitting on the table to make it look like she's just casually woke up like this next to the window.
It's that influencer economy.
It was crazy. If you see me posing in a hotel next to the window, no, you fucking did it. Okay, that was natural.
This is crazy. Let me know how you feel about this in the comment.
In 1999, a 10-year-old girl woke to the sound of her friend screaming. Groggy and disoriented, she lifted her head, only to see a shadowy figure looming over her friend, a knife pressed to the girl's throat. Before she could process what was happening, the blade flashed and her friend went silent. The man, satisfied with his work, turned to leave. But then he hesitated. A quick glance back at the room, and his eyes locked onto hers. In an instant, he lunged at her, the cold steel slicing across her throat. Convinced he had finished the job, the man vanished into the night. But he had made a terrible mistake. Clutching her throat, the girl forced herself to move. Stumbling through the house, she made it outside, her vision swimming. She reached another home and banged on the door with all the strength she had left. She tried to scream, to beg for help, but no sound came. Her vocal cords had been severed. When the door finally opened, the horrified resident wasted no time calling 911. Once recovered, she worked with the police to create a sketch, one that would ultimately lead to the capture of Tommy Lynn Sells, the ruthless serial killer known as the Coast to Coast Killer. His reign of terror ended in a Texas courtroom, where he was sentenced to death and later executed.
Adrenaline is so insane. People said this is real, not AI.
Jesus. This, I never seen this in my life, Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. We worden gered. Eerst zat ik op dat ding. He is here. He is here. Your husband is here. Your husband is here.
There's always safety jackets on the boat, but nobody wants to wear it. Why?
I dare you to put it
Video Fox 4 first broadcasted last week shows a Millsap Elementary School
crazy.
educator slapping toward an autistic boy. Moments later, another educator yells at him.
I said come here.
Before repeatedly hitting him with a toy, then throwing the toy at the 10-year-old.
Quit chewing on things.
The incident happened in February. Alex Cornelius is the child in the video.
I don't understand why anybody would want to do this to any child, let alone an autistic child or a special needs child.
Millsap ISD says the educators involved are no longer employed by the district. Now, Fox 4 obtained arrest warrants for both educators regarding alleged crimes against Alex and 2 additional students.
You got to have a really kind heart to be a special education teacher, and as we've all seen, some people just don't have it.
According to the warrants, teacher Jennifer Dale admitted swinging at Alex in the video, but claimed it was done playfully. One of her fellow educators recorded the video. That educator and 2 others gave investigators sworn statements of ongoing alleged abuse. Dale is charged with official oppression for intentionally subjecting 3 known child victims to mocking, mistreating, and tormenting. Paraprofessional Paxton Bean, seen in the video, is also charged with official oppression and has a felony charge of injury to a disabled child with intention. An arrest warrant claims Bean took an unnamed special needs child into a calm down room on January 16th. The child returned with a bloody nose. Bean told other educators the child had run into a wall. In a forensic interview, however, the child said Bean punched him.
I never expected any of this.
As for Cornelius' son, arrest warrants claim abuse was common. Alex regularly subjected to extensive timeouts, inappropriate comments about his private parts, and taunting. On one occasion, taunting until he covered his ears and began to rock back and forth, showing his anxiety.
We want to make sure that these teachers are never teaching again.
Alex's family believes had they not shared his story, criminal charges may have never happened.
I'm very grateful that the Parker County Sheriff's Department worked so quickly on it.
But we did not expect it to be this fast.
Whoever recorded and reported, thank you.
Everyone needs to know what is happening in Turkey right now. Hundreds of thousands of people have taken to the streets to protest over the last 5 days after the Turkish government arrested the mayor of their biggest city, Istanbul. Ekrem İmamoğlu was detained on charges of corruption and aiding terrorist groups just days before he was about to receive his party's nomination to run for president. Ekrem has denied these allegations and said that they are politically motivated. In fact, Istanbul University just announced that it's revoking Ekrem's degree due to alleged irregularities. This would actually hinder his ability to run for president, since the Turkish constitution says that presidents must have completed higher education to hold office. Turkey's current leader, who has served as their prime minister or president for the last 22 years, accused the opposition party of trying to disturb the peace and polarize our people. X have also revealed that they have received multiple court orders from Turkish authorities to block more than 700 accounts belonging to news organizations, journalists, political figures, and students. X said that it would be challenging the block requests in court, and as that it will always defend freedom of speech everywhere we operate. Protests in the country have got so intense that they've now placed a several-day ban on all gatherings in Istanbul, and they've also banned short selling on its stock market in efforts to prevent steep sell-offs and curb market volatility. But of course, as things develop, I'll keep you guys updated.
Erdogan just pulled, the final dictatorship card. This guy. He looks like he's still talking. Look at the little dog. The first guy who closed the door betrayed everyone.
and 1 minute on Snow White and how it totally imploded at the box office this weekend? It was so delicious. The thing they spent $170 million to make the thing, and it had the lowest opening, under $50 million, of any of these live action Disney remakes that they've ever had. Even the one that was their worst, Dumbo, did better than this has done. And they postponed the release of this thing, Ben, for a year because their star, Rachel Zegler, was so unlikable, told all Trump supporters that they could fuck off, excuse me, but she did. That was just in November. They didn't even know she was going to do that one. Said she hated Snow White, mocked the fact that there was a prince and that she falls in love as opposed to leaning into her own power. We could go on. It didn't work. Your thoughts?
First of all, a few lessons for Disney. Number one, stop cannibalizing all your old IP. Like, it's really bad. It's really bad business. Number two, please stop changing all of the historic plots, which actually have meaning to generations of people, to instead become generic woke story about how woman leads revolutionary uprising and she don't need no man. Because guess what? Nobody grew up with that crap, and nobody's all that interested in it. You're a very successful woman. My wife is a doctor. I have no problem with this, with women in the workplace. But this idea that women don't need men is ridiculous on its face. It's terrible for society. It's very good for people to learn that women need men, and also that men need women. I don't know why this fell out of fashion, and we're not allowed to just say that sort of stuff anymore. But it actually happens to be the truth. And then beyond that, all these studios have to stop letting their actors loose. I mean, honestly, just shut your actors up.
I need women, no shy about it. Hey, but Disney lost all reputation when it fired Captain Jack Sparrow. We'll never forget.
Hi guys, so let me give you more information on what actually happened to Maria Kovalchuk. So she was aware that this party was going to be a Potter party, which means she was paid a lot of money to do certain things in this party. And she was off to Thailand. Maybe she needed that money. So they're saying that she fell off somewhere in some kind of construction site. But because her arms, her legs, and her spine were broken, I'm starting to think that something happened in this party where she was maybe tied up in a certain position where your body just, cannot handle. Just for the fun of these people watching her being treated that way. I mean, that is what happens in these parties. You have to be very careful. They expect you to do certain things that probably your body cannot handle. The only person who knows the truth here is Maria. She is alive. So let's hope, she does tell us what really happened to her. Yeah.
That's what she said? She fell? Hey, but many IG models are basically sex workers.
Major PSA, Apple is being sued in a class action lawsuit because the Apple Watch wristbands contain forever chemicals that are forever in your skin. So it says even on most of the higher end bracelets that come with that Apple Watch, everybody is wearing an Apple Watch. My kids, everybody, not my kids, but kids are. Thankfully, my kids don't have one, but it contains forever chemicals, and Apple is keeping this pretty quiet. I haven't heard anything. It's only here on the TikTokulans, so thank you to all my loyal TikTokulan supporters. As president of TikTok, it is my goal to get the information to we, the people, right? And not hide it from us. If there is forever chemicals, which are in almost everything, forever, ever, yes, forever, ever. So if you're wearing an Apple iWatch, take it off now. Take the band off. Get a band that does not have forever chemicals. Maybe get some leather. Get a leather band. But the plastic is not good for you. I repeat, Apple is in a lawsuit. They're not talking about it. They don't want anybody to know about it. But Secret Service Sam lets the truth come to light. Secret Service Sam out. Samson for president of TikTok.
I have Temu watch bands. Probably has afterlife chemicals.
This is just pathetic. Look at this right here. Snow White scraps up a measly $12 million in opening day box office. Could have a worse weekend than The Marvels and Dumbo. Now, if you guys didn't know, The Marvels and Dumbo is the bottom of the shit pile when it comes to box office for Disney. Those movies lost Disney hundreds of millions of dollars, and it looks like Rachel Zegler's Snow White movie is headed in that direction. And look at this right here. Even mainstream media is calling out this movie for being garbage. Look at this right here. Woke flop Snow White could see one of Disney's sleepiest opening weekends. Listen, this movie made like $2 million on Thursday, right? Which is the previous day. Usually this is where when people come out and they go see your movie, you're supposed to have a higher number than 2 million. But bro, this movie is not gonna make more than $46 million opening weekend, which is a disaster for Disney.
I would have watched it if they cast Wesley Snipes, you know, as Snow White.
American passport back in my hand. I can travel where I like. You know, if any authorities from any police force anywhere in the world wish to speak to me, they have my number. They will call me and I'll answer the phone. 44 times I went to court in Romania, not because there was a trial, but to see if I would be allowed to travel. And I told judges 44 times, I'm not a flight risk. Please return me my passport. Please don't keep me locked away from my family. So I know that when I left, there was some backlash. I know that when I left, people were being pressed about the controversial decision about 2 men who'd already had their case dismissed being able to travel and see their families again. Well, you know, here I am back in Romania, as I said I would be. So all 44 of those court hearings, including the ones that happened when I was taken from prison, were completely worthless. There was no point in doing any of them.
And that's a very interesting point. Guys, let's actually analyze. They kept saying we're a flight risk. We left and we came back. So all of these 3 years of imprisonment were a complete waste of time against innocent men who have never been tried. It is supposed to be innocent until proven guilty in a democracy. We have never been convicted of any crime anywhere on the planet ever. And as my brother said, we have our passports back. And just like you, anyone else here decides to take a trip, they're allowed to take a trip. We live in Romania. We love Romania. We're never going to leave Romania. We have a house in Romania. We have Romanian children. We're going to be in Romania all of the time. If we feel like a holiday, we'll take one. And if a court needs to speak to us, we'll be there because we are innocent.
It is a well-known superstition in the Philippines that if you are either captured on video or a photograph with a body part missing, especially the head, you will be deleted within hours. Here's a video that might just prove that there's truth to that superstition. Watch this.
Masira yung CCTV natin. Kasi kay Sanchez yung CCTV, bakit ganyan?
Matingin ng bangka. Right. I know you are going to think this is a glitch, but if that was truly a glitch, why is it concentrated around her head and no other part of her body glitch? So, here's what followed literally seconds later as she is picked up by another CCTV camera. Watch this. Seconds later, a truck lost control and ran her over, and yes, she passed away on site. So could this be more than a superstition? Is this a forewarning of a person's passing? Let me know what you think. May she rest in peace.
Oh, that's the truck.
Follow me for your dose of nightmare fuel.
Interesting.
There was a video in Indonesia when they're doing a flag raising ceremony. Everybody, it was like an open field, right? A bunch of people in uniforms, and they were doing like a chant, right? And all of a sudden, like one side of the field started running and screaming. And I'll show you, it was supposed to be a dead military person that appeared in the middle of the field while this ritual was going on.
Wait, what was it? Wasn't like a reenactment?
No, it was like a flag raising ceremony.
Okay.
Yeah, so here, I'll show you right here. So in 2018,
yeah,
you can see everybody start running, right? I feel this for you. Everybody's panicking, look.
Oh shit, wait, that's the person?
No, it's not. So these people are shocked.
Yeah.
Look who's in the middle, do you see that?
Yeah. There's a soldier.
Yeah, in the middle of the field. Hold on, it gets closer. But fam, they start panicking. Boom. He gets closer. I think he starts praying or something.
Damn, they were like all freaking out.
And one of the female guards began to have a nervous breakdown because she was standing right in front of her.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it. Hold on.
Where is this?
Indonesia.
Oh no.
Right behind her.
Oh, that's crazy.
And she can't move because she's in shell shock, fam.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm from and live in Indonesia, and this is the first time I'm hearing this.
Imagine this. One of the world's most famous paintings, The Virgin and Child by Leonardo da Vinci, might contain a hidden message. Not just a religious scene, but something much bigger. Some researchers claim that Leonardo embedded the image of an extraterrestrial being within the shadows and shapes of the painting. A creature you can only see if you look very closely, or maybe one that was never meant to be seen at all. Because Leonardo wasn't just an artist, he was a visionary, a thinker, obsessed with the hidden and the mystical. Did he leave behind a secret that's only being uncovered now? And if so, what was he trying to tell us?
Same as the red painting of King Charles.
Has there actually been a discovery of 5 massive structures underneath the pyramids? Because it's been going crazy viral, and even Papa Joe spoke about it yesterday.
Dude, this new pyramid shit that's just come out?
Oh, this is insane. So apparently, through the use of LiDAR, they have discovered that there are enormous structures underneath the Great Pyramid that go kilometers deep into the earth.
The claim is that scientists have discovered a previously unknown 2-kilometer-long underground complex beneath the Giza pyramids, complete with spiral wells or tunnels, geometric chambers, and massive energy storage cubes, suggesting that the pyramids were actually part of a massive power plant or weapon system. Now, obviously, those claims are so extraordinary that it would literally reshape our entire view of human civilization. So, the evidence needs to be just as extraordinary. But unfortunately, it's not. So the paper was actually published years ago in 2022, and it's currently only gaining social media attention rather than being covered on reputable media outlets or scientific publications. It was published in MDPI, which is an open access publisher, meaning authors typically pay to publish their work on there. Now, that doesn't mean that it doesn't have any legitimate research. It just is being heavily scrutinized and even avoided by some scientists. The study is also not being peer reviewed, which is one of the most important stages for a paper's discoveries to carry more weight. The researchers behind the paper are not archaeologists or pyramid experts, rather a chemistry professor and an electronic engineer. In fact, one of the authors' previous work is on consciousness studies and alien abductions. Dedicated fact-checker organizations like Snopes have given it a rating of false. And lastly, the method they used to make this claimed discovery, called synthetic aperture radar Doppler tomography, is said to still be very experimental, and the results it produces are hazy and can be open to interpretation. So all of that to say, while this is something we would all love to believe, unfortunately, it's gonna be a hard one to get behind.
A genuine pyramid scheme.
One of the things I find most striking is the presence of Antarctica on ancient maps, because we didn't discover it until 1820. The so-called Pinkerton world map, drawn I think in 1813 or 1818, it just shows a hole where Antarctica is. But if you go back to, for example, the Waldseemüller world map drawn in 1530, you find Antarctica is present. There's Antarctica at the tip of South America, just south of South Africa.
And what did they call it back then?
Well, they call it the Southern Land. And it's larger than it is today, but it was larger than it is today during the Ice Age. Antarctica was a much bigger... Now, what the fuck is it doing on a map drawn in the 1500s, which we know was based on older source maps when nobody knew it existed in the 1500s? To me, the obvious answer is we are dealing with the fingerprints of a lost civilization.
What in the cannibalism did I just watch? KFC released this commercial, and it's probably the weirdest, maybe the most disturbing commercial I have ever seen. This commercial starts with this dude walking around the woods, and he makes eye contact with this chicken, and this is where things start to get really weird. This girl starts coming in and takes him to this cult-like ritual that's going on, where they gather around, come down from the trees, and they raise him up in the air. After this, everyone just runs away, and then this massive egg comes, and it looks like they're worshiping this golden egg. You know. And then eventually the girl walks this man to the lake, which is actually gravy, because the commercial is called All Hail Gravy. He grabs this man, puts him inside the gravy until he can no longer breathe. You can see the bubbles stop, so he's clearly unalived. She pulls him back up, and he's a fried piece of whatever the heck they call it, chicken. I mean, call it truth in plain sight, call this just a joke, call it clickbait. This is weird.
They are mocking the baptism of Jesus before Easter's. Boycott KFC.
Okay, so over here you can see the original level of the bedrock that was leveled to here to create the foundation for the pyramid structures, and they leveled it to a precise point where all of these veins were left intact. They could have been higher, they could have been lower, and they could have removed this material completely. However, the objective was to maintain the integrity of these connective iron veins, which I've shown maps that the iron veins that emanate in the core of the Great Pyramids, the core of the Great Pyramid, I've also documented this in our private entry access into the subterranean chamber of the Great Pyramid. The bedrock core of the Great Pyramid is filled with iron, and the iron veins emanate from this bedrock core. Same thing in the Central Pyramid, and all these veins emanate from the core of the Central Pyramid and branch off across the plateau, connecting all of the various components.
The Denver Airport.
Ooh, yes, let's go.
They used to have these murals put up, but they have since taken it down because it got just way too much like, what the heck am I looking at? I'm just going to describe some of the things that were in these murals.
Oh, no.
Huge. This is terrible.
Okay.
This was in the airport.
Kids would have seen this.
Yes. Everyone would have seen this.
Got it. Okay.
Children in coffins.
Oh my gosh!
A forest and a city on fire. A child holding a Mayan tablet depicting the end of the world.
Nice.
What?
Wearing a gas mask.
What?
Holding a sword that was stabbing a dove.
Not tasteful.
There's a mural of the children all over the world who had killed the Nazi, and they were bringing their weapons wrapped in their country's flag to a little German boy.
Why?
Who was at the center of it with a hammer.
What?
Can we just
like a
paint
hammer, like a communism?
Yeah. When you tell these stories, this is so terrible. But the one with the Nazi, it was showing like people that were like starving, and there was a woman holding her deceased baby.
Oh my gosh!
That's what I'm saying. Like, why is this in the airport?
You're in Colorado. Draw some mountains, buddy.
You know, another interesting story is the horse statue outside of the Denver airport.
People have just found out why they're waking up randomly in the middle of the night. Have you ever woken up randomly in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. for no apparent reason? I'm sure some nights you need to get up for a drink or to go to the toilet. It might be 3 a.m., but no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you just wake up randomly. You just suddenly wake up, but there's nothing there. Well, maybe there is. So you may have heard of something called body sensing before. You know that feeling where you can kind of just tell that someone's watching you? It's hard to describe, but maybe you're asleep in a car and you sense that the person next to you is like staring at you, you wake up and they are. That's because our mind is extremely clever, as I'm sure you're all aware. 3 a.m. is known in folklore as the devil's hour or the witching hour, where spirits are reportedly closest to Earth and can make contact. This is why most people see it as a scary time. They do Ouija boards or whatever they want at this time. Of course, we're on a certain level of consciousness, but our body and mind can sense things. So if you wake up at 3 a.m. in the middle of the night, randomly, there's nothing, you don't need the toilet or anything, you never know. There could be someone standing in your room who's not on our wavelength or our dimension, but your body has sensed them standing there, staring at you.
There are very
That's creepy.
advantages and features to the technology.
On March 20th, 1998, an inventor ran out of a restaurant yelling, "They poisoned me." Minutes later, he's dead, and his invention could have ended the oil industry. Stanley Mayer was a backyard inventor from Ohio, but what he claimed to build sounded like something out of a sci-fi movie. A car that ran on water, no gas, no oil, just H2O. He called it the water fuel cell. It split water into hydrogen and oxygen, using hydrogen to power an engine. If this was real, it meant anyone could fuel their vehicle with just tap water, and the entire oil industry would collapse overnight. That's when the threat started. Stanley told his brother he was being followed, watched. He claimed oil companies had offered him billions to walk away or let them buy and bury the tech. He refused. Then came that night. Stanley sat down for dinner with 2 Belgian investors. His brother was right beside him. Everything seemed normal until Stanley took a sip of cranberry juice. Suddenly, he clutched his throat, shot up from his chair, and stumbled out of the door. Outside, he screamed, "They poisoned me," and collapsed. He died minutes later. The autopsy ruled it as a brain aneurysm, no poison in his system. The case was closed. But here's where things get dark. His prototype gone. His blueprints vanished. And the investors, they fled the country immediately after his death. To this day, his brother swears he was murdered. Some believe the oil industry silenced him, but that's just a theory. What do you guys think really happened to Stanley? Let me know your thoughts and theories in the comments below, and follow for more true crime stories like this.
Same with Dr. Sebi. He was gonna hurt the pharmaceutical industry.
Okay, I don't know if this is true or not, but apparently there's a startup company to where it's called By Sunlight.
Oh, dude, yeah, it's real. 100%
It is real?
It's very real.
If it's dark outside, you can purchase sunlight, and what it does, it gives you a map, and then you click where your house is, or you can do a friend's house, and a satellite pivots to where it does what we talked about with that one satellite that it imitates the sun.
Yeah.
They apparently have that, and you can literally purchase for your house to get direct sunlight at night.
I think that's their pitch. I don't think it's up there, and I don't think it's active.
It's happening next year. They say it's going to be dropping late next year, and the first people that purchase it, you're going to have it's like 30 minutes or something, and it's like 5 kilometers. So it's like not just your house.
Oh, you're affecting
also
everyone.
Like at 3 a.m., you could literally just have like full on sunlight and just prank your neighbors or something.
What if
I think it's hilarious. I think it's amazing.
What if they can't control the magnitude of the sun reflection, and it's like ants with a magnifying glass, like literally lights us on fire.
Just gone.
What are some circumstances in which you would want to do that outside of pranking your buddy?
I mean, I don't know, having a party.
Human bluff playing God.
I'll tell you, we were in Chiapas, Mexico, and on a mountain we saw a giant. Really? I'm talking about a big one.
A big one.
I'm not talking about a 9-footer, 10-footer. I'm talking about mid-20s. Not for a glimpse, not a second. For about 25 minutes, I stared at it. It did not rattle my faith one bit. No. Because I already know how to process all this. In fact, I actually was talking, all these people were praying for me. We were on this prayer mountain, and this thing came up over the ridge, and it was the next ridge over. It's known for having giants in the area. There's big giant footprints everywhere in the rock down there and all this craziness. Even at the hotel, there was a big giant footprint. They had this rock that has a giant human footprint in it. And it also has the largest Mayan ruins on the planet Earth is there, and it's privately owned. And we went to it. The guy that owns it, it's the largest Mayan pyramid on the entire planet Earth. It's all right there.
Jeez.
And we went out there, which I got to tell you all about that and the craziness that happens there. But we went to this prayer mountain, all these pastors meeting with me. We all got there. They were all praying for me. So all this, like 40 pastors, and they're all praying, and they're all speaking in Spanish. I can see Jerry, and I can see my son Ben. They were all standing there minding their own business. And they're all praying. And I see there's a big valley, and there's a ridge in front of me. And I see this thing come up over the ridge and stand next to this tree. And as the tree sways, it sways exactly however the tree's, and it like mimics it. And I'm just sitting there, man, and I'm just looking at this thing. And I'm like, wow, I saw it come up. I actually saw it come up. And it's staring us down from the next mountain over. And it's staring, I can tell how big it is because of that tree. And it's no joke. I mean, this is no joke. And we're just sitting there, and I told Ben, I said, Ben, while they're praying for me, I'm like, yes, Lord, because they're all praying for me. I'm like, Ben, like what? He's like, yeah, he's praying too. I was like, there's a giant on that hill over there. He's like, where? I'm like, right over there. We're praying, yes, Lord, yes, Lord. Ben turned around, he goes, oh my, like King Jesus. I'm like, I know. Wow. And when Ben turned around and looked at it, the tree moved, and it froze. And so it knew what we were doing. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to tell you this. I started talking to it, and I was talking like this level. Now, there's no way anything can actually hear me. That thing is a quarter mile away. Yeah. And I'm just like, I see you, you devil, and there's nothing you can do about this. We're here. We're not going away. We're rescuing kids. We're doing everything that Jesus wants us to do, and there's not a thing in the world that you can do about it. Wow. You can either move or you can go to hell. And I'm talking in this voice. And then it started doing this. And I told Jerry, I said, Jerry, I want you to softly turn around. He said, why? And I said, because there is something, a giant on the top of that hill, and I've been looking at it for 20, 30 minutes.
20, 30 minutes?
Went, oh my gosh. And man, when he did that thing, kind of stood up like this and just turned around and like in just a couple of strides.
Unbelievable.
The guys just kept right on praying. Power of God's moving. Holy Spirit's moving. All kinds of craziness. And they're just like, so I asked them, we're on this prayer mountain. And I said, you guys ever have like crazy things shown? The pastor's like, what are you talking about? Like, you ever had like giants in this region like that? He goes, yeah. He goes, there's one that lives on that mountain right over there. That was the mountain that I actually saw it on.
Wow.
And you don't think for a second to pull out your phone and record it?
Number 1, the red heifers are ready. Number 2, the temple blueprints are ready. Number 3, the Jewish priests are trained. Number 4, and now we have the global figures possibly working behind the scenes to make this happen. What happens next?
So basically, if the red heifer is sacrificed in 2025 in April, and if the political conditions align, we could be looking at the beginning of something massive, the rebuilding of the third temple. And the moment the third temple is in place, we know that prophecy says the Antichrist will enter and declare himself as God, as we just read previously. We are literally looking at the final puzzle pieces falling into place.
Falling into place, right? This means people need to take this seriously. We're not talking about distant prophecy. We're talking about events that could possibly unfolding right now, actually.
Yep.
They are.
The mark has already been administered. This is coming soon, folks.
China just executed 4 Canadians for drug trafficking, and one was caught with over 218 kilograms of MDMA. Under China's strict drug laws, possessing just 50 grams of meth or heroin can mean death.
Ooh.
And despite high-level appeals from Canada, including direct pleas from former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, China refused to back down. Executed by lethal injection or firing squad, these Canadians were denied extradition because China doesn't recognize dual citizenship.
Whatever. You know, the crime happened in 2014 and the final sentence were made in 2019, but Canada just bring it up until now. What a good timing.
There's a lot of evil in Mexico, a lot of demonic evil. For those who don't know, just the past few weeks, there was a camp in Jalisco where in this camp, people were lured in with fake job opportunities and they were deceived. They were told that they were going to go there for a better opportunity for them to provide for their families, but instead they were kidnapped into this camp and they were not allowed to leave. This camp was owned by the cartels, by the narcos, and the stuff that they found here this past few weeks is really disturbing and disgusting, where a lot of child sacrifice were done, a lot of demonic activities such as witchcraft, santeria, and even some altars to the Santa Muerte that were found in here. They would torture children, they would torture women, they would torture men, they would make people eat human flesh. And if you haven't woken up yet, this is a spiritual world where it's a warfare between good and evil. That our battle is not against flesh nor blood, but it's against principalities. Amen. It's against the God of this world, Satan. And the principality that is over Jalisco, the principality that is over Mexico is death. Santa Muerte is not your friend, it is a demon. And no government, no president will ever bring us justice. Only Jesus Christ himself will bring judgment upon the nations and upon the government, the corrupted government. Praying for those families, praying for those who justice have not been served to them yet. But one day, justice will come. Yep. Justice will come.
Hey, but look at El Salvador with Bukele. There's literally an interview how he explains spiritual warfare from within and the outside world. Man. It's crazy.
Today's show is gonna be weird. If you have not yet seen the telepathy tapes, spoiler alert, we're about to break it all wide open. Humanity starts to discover crashed alien spacecraft all around the world. Those crafts are controlled by our minds. Simultaneous to that process happening for the last 80 years, autistic kids are being born, and it's turning out that they are telepathic, and they have psychic abilities. They seem to be able to not just read your mind, but it seems that they can do a lot more than that. They can communicate telepathically with each other across vast distances. They can also utilize the senses of their parents and loved ones, of their teachers, of their therapists. They can actually inhabit your senses and see through your eyes. Fuck! What if the Soviets can read our minds? Someone in our government might think, hey, we need more psychic people because there's a war coming. The coming age of AI and brain chips and Neuralink, and it starts with a V, and it's the thing that you put in yourself to keep you safe. that seems to be linked to an incredible rise in the number of...
I'm on 100% convinced that 5G can read our brainwaves.
Don't go anywhere because we still have fire clips after fire clips back to back.
The official disappearing of the moon will happen in February. You know David Copperfield?
Famous
Illusionist?
magician? Yeah.
Magician?
Yeah.
Legend.
Well, he's back on the scene. He says his next trick will be to make the moon disappear.
Don't do that.
So he was interviewed, and he says, yes, it's taken me 30 years to figure it out. And then he goes on to say, it's for the Save the Children Foundation. And his quote was, if one man can make the moon disappear from the sky, imagine what we can do to make hunger, poverty, and danger go away for children.
It's like Zoolander who's the magician. If I can make the moon disappear, that's not going to help anything.
He's been testing it for the past few months, and people have reported the moon disappearing.
Uh-oh.
I've seen multiple TikToks that are like, their Starfinder out, and they're like, and the moon's supposed to be right there, and there's no moon. And he's asked if any one of you sees something strange in the sky, please report it to me because I want to figure out if the tests are going too early.
So everyone's going to be able to see it?
Not even knowing this is happening.
Yeah.
People are like, where's the moon?
We are literally in a Truman Show.
For kids, get out of here. Over 15 young women have accused him of sexual misconduct. Fun fact, the entire ground on Earth was the ocean floor.
There are a number of civilizations who have self-destructed on this planet over the last 500 million years or more, the last of which was Atlantis, who were in conflict with the Lemurians, and that battle took place for several thousand years, and finally Atlantis self-destructed and sank into the ocean. We don't quite know for sure where it is. We think it's off Bimini. They found a pyramid on the seafloor there, or it could be the Bermuda Triangle, but there are nodes, put a bunch of triangles around the globe. Where they converged, it's called a node, where all the lines converge, okay? And there's supposed to be 12 of these nodes on our planet. The Bermuda Triangle is one of the nodes. So what I think, where these lines converge, the energy is very, very strong. There are moments when when they're activated and planes fly through there. 3 or 4 planes have disappeared all at once who were flying in formation, never to be seen again.
The rise of UAE princes marrying Chinese girls. There's a new period that everybody is talking about, and it's so fascinating. It's people that are saying, hey, look, we're moving out of the country, and I'm gonna go settle down in the UAE because my husband is a prince, and I'm a princess. We're gonna move to Dubai, and we're gonna live there for the rest of our lives. And then they show the husband, and I'm like, look, I don't know, right? I don't know. But he looks more like a Prince Harry knockoff than a Middle Eastern prince. But you know, what do I know, right?
What?
Yeah, they all just look like super white. They don't look Middle Eastern at all. And they say, turns out I'm pregnant. So we have decided to move back to settle down, and his family want us to be back there. So we're going to be selling everything on the live stream. Look at my belly. They're always heavily pregnant. And when I say they, I've come across maybe like 20 UAE married princesses, Chinese girls who have married UAE princes. Like, I'm pregnant. So we're going to do a little flash sale of everything in our house. Everything's got to go for super, super cheap. Just because it's not even really for us. We just want to get back to you guys.
So what are they selling?
They're selling some of the cheapest shit that people have ever seen in their lives. It's like Tupperware. It's like a reusable food container, which should be better for the environment. However, it's like paper, so it's not even Tupperwaring. It's like a paper dish. They're just selling the cheapest things, but they put royal in front of it. UAE royalty Tupperware. And it's like the worst thing that Chinese netizens have ever seen in their entire lives. It's a scam, but they eat it up.
Really?
The netizens. They say it's actually kind of fun. And then they just disappear after they make their money. But some of the girls, they decide, I actually want to keep an online career after this. So what they do is, Douyin gets really mad if you lie to sell products. They'll come out looking disheveled. Guys, I got scammed. I thought my husband was the prince of the UAE, and he wasn't. And now I'm really sad, and I have no more money anymore. So I'm gonna be hosting a live stream where I sell products for really discounted discounted prices because I need the money. Yeah, they're smart. They're insane. I don't even know what to say.
That's
BlackRock,
crazy,
the world's
man.
biggest business, hijacks economies and uses it as a political tool for the benefit of one foreign country. The illusion of capitalism, the illusion of free market. All your money goes to them. As a stock market investment company, they profit off of war. Then they spend that profit lobbying politicians for more war. Then they profit on rebuilding the country, and then afterwards they own the country. It is that ridiculous. When you're sick, they profit, and when you need a remedy, they profit too. Through the stock market, they own the media, right-wing Fox News and left-wing CNN. They control both and control the illusion of choice and the illusion of opinion. While they all distract you with small petty arguments, they use both sides to convince you to be loyal to Izzy. Most top executives at BlackRock, including the very top executive Larry Fink himself, all have Israeli roots. The company is a political apparatus, and they have $11.5 trillion with the T dollars in stock assets, and they control most of the Fortune 500 top companies in the world. BlackRock is history's biggest monopoly, and it's a political tool. And BlackRock needs to be dismantled, or else our freedom is only an illusion.
Not in China. They cannot infiltrate China, which is why there are so many, anti-China propaganda in the Western media.
If you think there's no evidence for the Israelites wandering in the desert for 40 years after the Exodus, watch this.
I've come a very long way to see this inscription, which from the Egyptian hieroglyphics reads, "Land of the nomads of Yahweh." Dates to the end of the 15th century BC. It's over 3,400 years old, and that makes it the oldest mention in an inscription of the name of the God of Israel. Here we have a perfect example of something that was found through archaeology, correlating perfectly with what we read in our Bibles. In this case, according to biblical chronology, the Bible says that the Israelites are wandering in the wilderness for 40 years at the latter half of the 15th century BC. Here we have an inscription from the Egyptian pharaoh Amenhotep III that dates to the end of the 15th century BC. The Bible describes the wandering Israelites, the nomadic Israelites, as moving around with their God Yahweh, who is with them by day in a cloud, at night in a pillar of fire. And so what better way for the Egyptian pharaoh Amenhotep III to describe this people than the way that he does right here, nomads of Yahweh.
U.S. military.
The people you help are often the ones who turn on you because their loyalty was not to you. It was to their need. Once their problem is solved, they don't see you as a savior, but better yet, a reminder of their weakest moment. Gratitude fades, but ego lingers. Rather than acknowledge who lifted them up, they would rather convince themselves that they climbed up on their own. Helping someone doesn't mean they'll respect you. Sometimes it just means they'll resent the fact that they needed you in the first place.
There's a saying here, when the rain stops, the umbrella becomes a burden.
There's this really sketchy video of Kim K. People are saying she took Marilyn Monroe's hair for voodoo rituals. What the?
What is this?
That is Marilyn's hair. In the video, she deadass says, "I'm about to do some crazy voodoo with this."
What?
Yeah, she literally says it.
Videos,
yeah, she literally says it.
Going to do some crazy voodoo that I want. Wait. and I channel her.
I don't know if you've seen the pictures she's done before where she tried to like look in her attire. She wore the same coats and everything like that. Now she took it a step further, fam. After nearly 2 years of waiting, paying $4.2 million, Kim Kardashian receives a lock of Marilyn Monroe's hair.
What is this?
That is Marilyn's hair.
Look what she says. Look at that.
You can clone her.
Whoa.
Oh my god, I'm literally going to do some crazy voodoo shit.
That's crazy, man.
And I channel her.
Channel her. Oh no. No, but back it though. She's joking. Yeah. But look, she's not.
New details about the underground city beneath Egypt's pyramids have been released. During a news briefing just released, the researchers said a water system has been identified beneath the platform, located more than 2,100 feet below the Khafra pyramid, with underground pathways leading even deeper into the earth. The team used radar pulses to create high-resolution images deep into the ground beneath the structures, the same way sonar radar is used to map the depths of the ocean. While the bombshell claims have been dismissed by other experts as false and exaggerated, the team believes there's an entire hidden world of many structures more than 2,000 feet below the water system. The Italian scientists hinted that, quote, when we magnify the images in the future, we will reveal that beneath it lies what can only be described as a true underground city, end quote. The scientists suggested that the Pyramid of Khafra might conceal undiscovered secrets, notably the fabled Hall of Records. So the Hall of Records is said to hold documents, scrolls, and other ancient materials about ancient Egypt and the lost continent of Atlantis. It is believed to be a hidden chamber beneath the Great Pyramids, or the Sphinx, containing vast amounts of lost wisdom and knowledge about the ancient civilization. These new vertical shafts, identified underneath Khafra, were about 33 to 39 feet in diameter, located at a depth of at least 2,130 feet. The team suggested that the structures could be supporting the pyramid. The scientists also noted that the cylinder structures appear to serve as access points to this underground system. Below the shafts, the team identified two massive rectangular enclosures, each measuring approximately 260 feet per side. According to the researchers, each of these enclosures contain 4 shafts that extend from the top and descend downward. The scientists said, quote, the existence of vast chambers beneath the Earth's surface comparable in size to the pyramids themselves have a remarkably strong correlation between the legendary halls of Amenti, end quote. So this just in.
It's hard for me to believe they just now look under the pyramids.
People who are like fanatical consumers of true crime content are considerably less likely to commit murders or like other serious crime because you're pretty well educated that like you're not going to get away with it.
That's got to be true. That's got to be true, man.
It's got to be true. Same as with once you get in the interrogation room. Anybody who consumes a lot of true crime content is going to say, I want a lawyer right away.
Immediately.
And
it's true.
It blows my mind how, at this point, with all of the true crime, the first 48 on A&E, all of these criminal psychology, and yet even hardened criminals, like genuine gangsters, just go in there and just start talking.
Yeah, it is pretty remarkable that there's this plethora of information that would teach you all the simplest and most direct ways not to get caught. Yet the content that's being made is a product of people not listening to it over and over and over again.
I put on true crime to fall asleep.
John Anthony West was the first person to suggest that the erosion patterns on the Sphinx suggest it was much older than Egyptologists said, maybe 12,000 years old. And at that time, the response of Egyptology was, oh, rubbish. The Sphinx can't possibly be 12,000 years old because there's no other megalithic monument anywhere in the world that's anywhere like 12,000 years old. Well, that got blown out of the water completely, forever, by the discovery of Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, which isn't even that far from Egypt. Göbekli Tepe, 11,600 years old, a giant megalithic site. My goodness, if you can make Göbekli Tepe, you can make...
If it's true about the pyramid, this man is owned a massive apology.
Did you hear the scientists perfected creating a mammoth mice.
Yes, I've seen this. It's like a mouse that's hella furry.
Apparently, it's this company
Mammoth
called Colossal, and pretty much their idea is they were starting with these mice because they wanted to get the DNA from basically the closest relative to the woolly mammoth. They somehow put it into this new batch of rats where in the embryo, it would basically grow differently into a normal mice.
And they also had DNA from mammoths.
Yeah, exactly, from the ones that they already had.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
they had the DNAs from the mammoths that they already had.
They found that baby one, remember?
Yes, yes. So they took some of that DNA as well, and they put it into this like embryo of a mice, a normal mice. So it's actually the fact that their hair literally grew in like thick tufts where they would be able to survive in a colder climate. They also have a extra layer of fat around them compared to the normal mice. And then their whiskers are different than the normal ones. Their whiskers are like hella curved and in a curl. So this company Colossal, they said based off of them perfecting this and creating a new creature.
No, for reals.
They said by 2028 that they should be done making the woolly mammoths. They are literally going to do Jurassic Park.
That's so insane.
That's scary that we're even getting this advanced. Like, we were never supposed to get this advanced.
I don't think so either, yeah.
Because now we're playing God.
It's called the Wall of Benin, and it's like one of the world's largest structures. But I've never known about it. And it was in Nigeria. It was the capital city, but they made interconnecting walls that stretched over 10,000 miles. And it was all man-made, and it was like the world's largest structure. But the British destroyed it in 1897 when they were colonizing it. But that's enough wall to circle the United States 3 times.
It says 4 times longer than the Great Wall of China.
How have I never heard of that?
That's what I'm saying.
Dude, we gotta dig into
like
that.
Even the people of Nigeria now, they don't even know about it. So like people are trying to like discover more about it to teach them of their ancient culture and stuff.
They started in 800 AD and continued until 1460 AD.
Yeah, they said it took 150 million man hours to build.
But
10,000 miles.
very
long.
little remains today. How is that possible?
Because the British destroyed it.
All of it.
Imperialism.
That just seems like more effort to destroy 10,000 miles worth of wall.
For real though.
And just like leave it.
It's the Guinness.
Walk around it.
It's the Guinness Book of World Records. World's largest man-made structure by length.
Is that not insane?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
How did they destroy 10,000 miles of wall?
It's not like it's literally a cabal of shadowy dudes around one table. It is just an alignment of many different interests, different families, different corporations, different bankers, or organized crime groups, all started playing games for power, and these guys have that much power, and those guys have that much power, and interests tend to align. Like, the general vibe in the corporations will probably align with the vibe of the bankers, and their vibe will probably align a fair bit with some of this organized crime stuff, and we'll fund this terrorist organization, Mujahideen, until it's not convenient anymore, and then we'll actually use them as a patsy to go to war, because there's terrorists over there, god damn it.
If you want to be more peaceful, you have to understand that your life will be infinitely more peaceful when you decide not to waste any more time arguing with people who don't understand you. You have to learn to be okay with being misunderstood, because people only understand from their level of perception. And no argument in this world is worth damaging your mental.
Not everyone is for you, and that's okay.
I'm very tired. I'm going to go to bed, but I have got to tell you, if you have not seen the video of Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, talking with a tiny little R2-D2 robot, you have got to see it. It is the best thing I saw all day. Go look for it. I don't care where you find it. I'm sure it's somewhere. Probably search for it here on TikTok. It's incredible. It's hilarious. I want one. I know it's a product. I know he's trying to sell me. I don't care. I just want the tiny, cute little robot. It's probably smarter than my dog. That's a low bar. My dog's not that bright. But, like, still, it's apparently got 2 cute little NVIDIA computers. It has little antennas for ears that go up and down. And I just, like, I don't know what it does. It does not fold my laundry. It does nothing of value, I'm sure. It just walks around the house. But, like, it's just so cute. Oh, my gosh.
I want one, too.
Check out the NVIDIA robot. The cute little R2 that they built. It's adorable. They introduced it today. It came up through the stage. Jensen said he was going to go have lunch with the robot. Sometimes I'm a sucker. I don't know.
In 1926, a Greek Orthodox monk, Father Mitrofan, did something unthinkable. He hid inside the Holy Sepulchre to find out if the holy fire was real or just a trick. For years, skeptics whispered that the holy fire was fake, One monk had doubts too. He decided to find out the truth by hiding inside the very tomb of Christ before the patriarch entered. The doors were sealed. The church was filled with thousands of believers waiting. He stood there alone for hours, and then it happened. Suddenly a blinding blue light burst from the stone slab where Christ was laid. It swirled, danced, and spread across the church, igniting candles without a human touch. The monk was shocked. The fire didn't burn, just like people said. He fell to his knees, trembling in repentance. His doubts were gone. He had witnessed the miracle. Even in 2008, scientists tried to explain the holy fire. They studied it, tested theories, but in the end, no answer. The mystery remains. A miracle or something beyond human understanding? You decide. Comment Christ is risen if you believe in the holy fire.
Are only Orthodox Christians allowed for pilgrimage there?
There's people that have made observations. The fence, so you know every airport has a big old fence around it with barbed wire fence. And the barbed wire usually sticks out towards people that would come in, you know, kind of like that angle. But at the Denver airport, it's switched to where it would be, in theory, people trying to get out of the airport.
Weird! Like prison angle.
Yeah.
So that throws off all the ideas I had.
There's some wacky conspiracies.
Give us one.
Like Pizzagate happens there.
One is that at the bottom layer of this airport, they have imprisoned the reptilians.
That's one of my most
But
favorite
listen,
things.
this is crazy. So
that explains the barbed wire.
Everyone knows reptiles can't climb over barbed wire.
This is what's crazy. The CEO, they're so tired of people being like, what does this mean? Why did you do this? Why is the airport this big? One of their runways is 3 miles long.
Yeah.
Which is like
spaceship.
It's 3 times as long as a normal aircraft.
Yeah. I know they sometimes do that for like space shuttles because like you get like clearance for certain, they only have a certain amount of airports they can't land
But it's
in.
perfect for military vehicles.
Yeah.
Or military planes and stuff. Did you guys hear what the James Webb Telescope just discovered?
Oh gosh.
You mentioned it yesterday, and I Googled it.
They said we have alien ships heading towards Earth at light speed.
Okay, what? What do you mean?
They are the size of cities, they said. And the only reason they're calling them alien ships is because they're on this one trajectory and then exactly turned towards Earth
Oh gosh.
at light speed.
I mean, how long is it going to take for them to get there? How far away are they?
The prediction is time frame of these objects reaching Earth range from a couple of years to a couple of weeks.
Okay.
It's a good ratio. It's just a little.
So they
time.
said that these were they got images of it.
Yeah.
Heading at light speed, going, and then it course corrected towards Earth. So that's the only reason they're calling them ships.
And you wouldn't be able to predict how fast it could accelerate or decelerate if it was able to
course correct.
Yeah, you don't know what technology
So
allowed it to do that.
So they said a couple years or a couple weeks.
Couple years or a couple weeks.
So this is what I'm on Snopes, and typically stuff like this is like it's not true. All it says is unfounded, so they're not saying it's not true.
In 1966, a well-known scientist released a book with information that could impact everyone on Earth. But before anyone could read it, it was classified by the CIA. Well, it's because the man who wrote it describes the end of the world. In 1966, former McDonnell Douglas engineer Dr. Chan Thomas released a book called The Adam and Eve Story. Now, that title might sound like he's being cute, but he's actually being literal. This book is about the end of the world as we know it. Thomas presents evidence of a coming shift in the Earth's poles that creates a cataclysm. And Thomas says these pole shifts are cyclical, that on regular intervals, a disaster wipes out almost all human life, and we start over again in the Stone Age. He says we're actually the 6th advanced civilization to evolve on Earth. There may have been even more civilizations that have been here, but the further back you go, the harder it is to know for sure because some of these civilizations occupied continents that no longer exist. Now, Thomas isn't the first scientist to publish this theory. In 1958, almost 10 years before the Adam and Eve story, Charles Hapgood published The Earth's Shifting Crust, which discussed the Earth crustal displacement hypothesis. This theory says that sometimes the Earth spins really fast and the continents are rearranged. When Hapgood proposed the idea of continental drift, It was called pseudoscience.
Hey, did you guys hear what's happening in Antarctica right now? Not good. Shout out Kurt Russell. The thing could be happening right now. I mean, whatever. Put it on the bingo card. Scientists from South Africa are trapped with a violent grapeist. God, censorship is literally killing the English language. Anyways. Yes, crisis in Antarctica at the secret secluded base on top of a cliff in which 9 South African scientists are currently trapped with a insane person. Violence has broken out. Like, officially they're saying shit got violent. Someone is probably hurt right now, and they are in the most isolated part of the world possible, baby. We're talking Shining type stuff. And yes, these people go through psychological evaluations before they're sent there, but when you get right down to it, you don't know how a human's going to react to supreme isolation like that. And they are there for 13 months with like no plan. There's going to have to send like a secret mission to save them. Maybe it's some new secret sort of weapon. I don't know.
8 versus 1 and they can't stop the one.
I saw a mermaid.
I saw a mermaid.
Really?
Yeah.
When?
In Seychelles, Africa.
You saw an actual mermaid?
Yeah, that's what it was. It was a swimming person.
Really?
Yep. And
how long ago was this?
I don't know. Me and this little French boy, and they said don't swim in the lagoon after dark. Everybody's up at the bar, and so everybody's gonna go down. Everybody's kind of racing now. So me and him go down. Me and him get in the water. From a distance, you see something coming like a fucking missile, but it's going fast, and we both kind of stop. And then it turns and it jumps out of the water. And it's maybe at least 10, 12 feet long, man. And it do like this, and it look at both of us and go, whoo. The water was only about this deep. Didn't make a splash or nothing. And then me and him turned the fuck around. We running, and everybody's coming down there laughing, got their drinks in their hand. We're like, no, fuck that. And the little boy in French, and his mom is apologizing to me, saying he has a very vivid imagination. He said, no, bitch, listen. we saw a fish man, and it wasn't like a mermaid. Didn't look feminine at all.
Look a man.
A fucking man. A fucking dude who said, get the fuck out the pool. Yeah.
So
he
did it look
didn't
like
go,
a
hey,
fish
get out
person?
the water.
Did it look like a fish person or look like a human being?
Came out.
Did it have scales?
It was kind of dark.
Dark like a dolphin?
No. But he had, the back of him was fish. The back of him was fish. His head was humanoid. Eyes about so big. Then I ain't the first person to see some shit in them waters. And the guy who does the horseback riding, you can ride horses. And he said, how old are you? And I told him, he says, you're from America, right? I'm like, yeah. He says, so at this age, pretty much if you see a turtle and I tell you that's not a turtle, he says, you know it's a turtle. You're at the age, you know what you saw. Right. He says, people pay a lot of money at this resort. He says, yeah, it's maybe not a good idea to go around going, I saw a mermaid. And he goes, he's saying how long his family has been fishing in these waters. He says, and he's heard some things. He says, I've heard some things like what you say. He said, I've never seen what you say you saw, but it's not the first time I heard that. And I said, thank you.
There's a movie, The Shape of Water. Watch it.
NLE Chopper just spoke too much, y'all. He might have just put a target on his back. Sometimes it's better just to shh. You see the pose he doing in this picture? He should have did that when that reporter came up to him asking these weird questions. So a reporter came up to NLE Chopper while he was walking through the airport, and he started asking him weird questions. He asked him about space, about the moon, about Mars, about Earth, about UFOs, and NLE gave his insight. But the problem is, he got the influence, and they're not gonna like that.
Nobody ever been to space. Really? Nobody ever been outside of this firm.
That is an interesting conversation I would love to have.
Off camera.
So you think we faked the moon landing?
Yes. Let me tell you why.
Yeah.
They say there wasn't no air in space. One of the moon landing clips, that damn flag was growing. Shit on TikTok was crazy. On the NASA website was found in the coordinates of a desert in California, but they said it was quote unquote Mars.
This reporter was loving it. He just kept asking the questions. The crazy thing is, at the end of the interview, the reporter said, man, you're young. You got so much influence. That should have told you right there.
if it's a firmament and we can't leave? What do you think?
I think it's water. As below is above. A lot of when they go up, they start to curve, take the shape of if something was circular.
So do you believe in extraterrestrial life? No, you do. So where do they come from?
Like I said, if I was NLE Choppa, I'm not talking to you on this camera. Like, first of all, I don't know you. You coming up to me asking these questions. Why? I would have been like, we could talk about this off camera.
Has anybody seen Justin Bieber's Instagram? He posted shipping containers with a photo of a baby on a blanket underneath. Captioned, I got anger issues too, but I want to grow and not react so much. Yo. In the same post, there's a picture of him as a child. And who remembers a few months back when there was demands to open the shipping containers? Look at the location, Diddy's house, and look what's right here. Look. Evergreen. And who remembers this episode of Dexter? Evergreen. Remember Harry found him in the shipping container?
No.
Bro.
JB is becoming Kanye West now.
Apparently, there's this whistleblower that went on 4chan recently, a couple weeks ago, and he's like, they found in this cave in Antarctica this egg-shaped UFO-looking thing, which that's what we talked about a week ago. And apparently, after this came out, it gave this one guy the courage to disclose the stuff that they found in Antarctica, supposedly, of this same egg-shaped UFO that they found. But what's also strange is we talked about the hieroglyphics that a lot of people reported seeing on these UFOs. Same thing happened with this UFO. Also, there's like a weird sarcophagus, very similar to the one that we talked about in Russia where that lady was in.
Yeah.
But yeah, that first picture, some of it looks almost like Hebrew. Yeah. That looks just like that letter in Hebrew. Apparently, they're calling him an alien, a tall, Nordic, very pale skin, long blonde hair, 7-8 feet tall, was in that sarcophagus, woke up, and was conversing with them.
What we found was, interestingly, 30% of people were snacking after 9 at night. And we found that if you snack late at night...
I feel attacked.
I feel attacked.
And this is a lot in line with, other published research from very tightly controlled clinical trials. We found that if you snack late at night, that was associated with unfavourable health outcomes. So worse adiposity, so worse kind of fat around your belly, for example, higher levels of inflammation, worse levels of blood lipids, so, cholesterol, that sort of thing. And we found that this was even if you were snacking on healthy snacks.
Really?
And this isn't especially surprising because there's this whole new area in nutrition called chrononutrition, which is all about the timing of eating. And we now are really starting to understand that every cell in our body has its little body clock. Every cell has a clock. And that clock is shaped by when we eat as well as the light day cycle. And if we're eating out of sync with those clocks, those millions and trillions of clocks in our body, we know that we process the food slightly differently, we metabolize it slightly differently, and it may have a different impact on our health. And that's what our research showed as well. So eating after 9 o'clock isn't...
I read it somewhere that Spain has the highest life expectancy in Europe.
The Bible told us how to avoid disease, and science is just now catching up. Johns Hopkins recently discovered that whether or not a person is forgiving can actually determine if they will have heart problems, cancer, and other diseases or not. Do you guys ever see something and you're like, that's definitely in the Bible? I asked Taven to list verses about letting go of negative feelings and how it's good for us. Our thoughts and emotions are directly connected to our immune system, our nervous system, and whether or not we end up with a disease. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil. It will be health to your flesh and strength to your bones. Envy can cause inflammation that leads to bone loss. Proverbs 14, a sound heart is life to the body, but envy is rottenness to the bones. And there's been plenty of studies that prove that praying is actually healthy for our hearts. Ephesians 3 literally says this. Over and over, we see happiness brings health, while negative emotions invite in Satan and cause disease. This is why I have faith in the Bible through and through. Every word of it is the truth, and science is sprinting to catch up to his word.
I noticed when I started fasting, my health improved a lot. The Bible is everything.